Welcome to Audiobook Library. Today we're bringing you a summary of The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle, because a book is a dream that you hold in your hand. If you enjoyed this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to support our channel and help us bring more great content. Let's dive into the world of knowledge.
Chapter 6. The Power of Now in Relationships. Relationships are among the most profound areas where the power of the present moment can transform our lives. In this chapter, we dive into the dynamics of relationships, exploring how mindfulness and presence can dissolve conflict, deepen connection, and foster authentic love. Relationships as mirrors. Relationships serve as mirrors, reflecting our inner world back to us. When we feel anger, insecurity, or resentment toward a partner, these emotions often stem from unresolved issues within ourselves. By bringing presence into relationships, we can recognize these emotional triggers, not as faults in the other person, but as opportunities for self-awareness and healing. For instance, if jealousy arises, instead of blaming the other person, you can pause and explore the root of the feeling. Often it stems from fear of abandonment or lack of self-worth. By acknowledging these emotions with presence, you begin to heal old wounds and shift the dynamic of the relationship. The role of ego in relationships. Ego-driven relationships are marked by control, expectations, and judgment. The ego seeks to use the other person to fulfill its needs, whether for validation, security, or power. This creates a dynamic of dependency and conflict, as each person projects their unmet needs into the other. Presence dissolves this pattern. When you approach relationships without ego, you no longer see the other person as a means to an end. Instead, you honor them as they are, a unique, evolving individual. This shift fosters unconditional love, free from expectations and demands. The trap of emotional pain bodies. In relationships, unresolved pain often manifests as emotional pain bodies. These are the accumulated traumas and negative emotions from past experiences that live within us. Pain bodies are reactive and feed on conflict, seeking to perpetuate their existence. For example, a small disagreement can escalate into a major argument because one or both partners are unconsciously acting from their pain bodies. They project past hurts onto the present moment, distorting reality. By practicing presence, you can recognize when your pain body is activated. Instead of reacting impulsively, you create space for awareness and compassion, breaking the cycle of conflict. This also allows you to support your partner when their pain body is triggered, fostering healing for both of you. The importance of being present. True connection in relationships arises from being fully present with the other person. Presence means giving your complete attention, free from distractions, judgments, or mental narratives. When you listen with presence, you don't just hear words. You feel the essence of the other person. This deep listening creates a safe space where they feel seen, heard, and understood. It also dissolves misunderstandings as you respond from a place of clarity rather than assumption. Love versus neediness. Many relationships are built on neediness rather than love. Neediness stems from the belief that you are incomplete and that another person can complete you. This places an impossible burden on the relationship, as no one else can fulfill the void within. Authentic love, on the other hand, arises from wholeness. When you are at peace with yourself, you no longer seek someone to fix you. Instead, you approach the relationship as a sharing of joy, growth, and mutual support. Presence is the foundation of this kind of love, as it allows you to connect with your partner without attachment or dependency. Conflict is a gateway to growth. Conflict is inevitable in relationships, but how you respond to it determines its impact. Presence transforms conflict into an opportunity for growth and understanding. Instead of reacting defensively, you can pause, observe your emotions, and respond from a place of awareness. This shifts the focus from winning the argument to finding a resolution that honors both parties. It also deepens intimacy, as vulnerability and honesty replace blame and resentment. Space in relationships. Healthy relationships require space. This doesn't mean physical distance, but emotional and mental space to allow each person to grow and evolve individually. Presence creates this space by dissolving clinging and possessiveness. When you are present, you trust the flow of the relationship. You don't try to control or force outcomes, but allow the connection to unfold naturally. This creates a sense of freedom and authenticity, where both partners feel valued for who they are. By bringing presence into relationships, you transform them from sources of conflict and dependency into arenas of growth, healing, and authentic love. The power of now invites you to meet your partner, not as an object of your desires or projections, but as a fellow traveler on the journey of life. Through presence, you build a foundation of trust, respect, and unconditional love that can withstand any challenge. Chapter 7. Accessing the power of now through challenges. In this chapter, the focus shifts to life's challenges and how they can serve as portals to presence. Every obstacle, whether external or internal, holds the potential to awaken you to the power of now. Instead of resisting or avoiding pain, Eckhart Tolle invites readers to embrace challenges as transformative opportunities. Suffering as a teacher. Suffering often compels us to look inward and question our habitual ways of living. Whether it's loss, failure, or illness, pain has a way of stripping away illusions and ego-driven desires, forcing us to confront the present moment. Tolle explains that when you resist pain, you create additional layers of suffering. The key is to accept and observe the discomfort without judgment. For example, when faced with grief, instead of numbing yourself or escaping through distractions, pause and feel the emotion fully. Presence dissolves the mental narratives that amplify the pain, allowing you to process it with clarity and compassion. The role of acceptance. Acceptance doesn't mean resignation. Instead, it's an acknowledgement of the reality of the present moment. When you accept a situation fully, you stop wasting energy on resistance and open the door to effective action. For instance, if you lose your job, resisting the situation only prolongs the stress. Acceptance allows you to face the reality of the loss and take empowered steps toward finding new opportunities. Through presence, you approach challenges with creativity and resilience. Dissolving fear through presence. Fear is often rooted in the mind's projections about the future. Tolle emphasizes that the present moment is almost always manageable. Fear arises when we leave the now and imagine worst-case scenarios. To dissolve fear, bring your attention back to the present. Ask yourself, what is the actual problem right now? Often you'll realize that the immediate moment is free from danger. Presence anchors you in reality, breaking the cycle of anxious thoughts. Inner stillness amid chaos. Life's challenges often feel chaotic, but within you lies a space of stillness that remains untouched by external events. By connecting with this inner stillness, you can navigate difficulties with grace and clarity. Tolle likens this stillness to the eye of a storm, a calm center surrounded by turbulence. When you stay anchored in presence, external chaos loses its power to destabilize you. You respond to challenges from a place of wisdom and strength rather than reactivity, turning resistance into flow. Resistance to challenges often leads to frustration and stagnation. Presence transforms resistance into flow by aligning you with the natural rhythm of life. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, resisting the situation only heightens stress. By accepting the reality of the moment, you free yourself from mental agitation and can use the time constructively, perhaps by practicing mindfulness or enjoying music. Flow doesn't mean passivity. It's an active engagement with the present moment, free from internal conflict. The role of gratitude. Even in difficult times, there is always something to be grateful for. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's wrong to what's right, opening your heart to the abundance of the present moment. Tolle encourages readers to find small moments of gratitude, even in challenging circumstances. Whether it's the support of a loved one or the beauty of nature, gratitude anchors you in the now and lifts your spirit. Challenges as portals to spiritual awakening. Every challenge, no matter how painful, carries the potential for spiritual awakening. When you face adversity with presence, you transcend the ego's limitations and connect with a deeper sense of being. For instance, a health crisis might force you to slow down and reevaluate your priorities. What initially seems like a setback becomes an opportunity to align with your true self and live more authentically. Through presence, challenges become stepping stones rather than obstacles. They teach you to let go of resistance, embrace the flow of life, and access the profound peace that resides within. By anchoring yourself in the now, you transform suffering into growth and adversity into awakening. Chapter 8. Enlightened Relationships. This chapter delves into the nature of relationships, offering insights on how to create harmonious connections through presence. Eckhart Tolle explains that many relationships are rooted in ego-driven patterns, which lead to conflict, dependency, and dissatisfaction. By shifting from ego to presence, relationships become spaces for growth, healing, and love. The ego's role in relationships. Tolle highlights how the ego manifests in relationships. The ego thrives on separateness and control, often causing individuals to project their unmet needs and insecurities onto their partners. This dynamic creates a pain body within the relationship, where unresolved emotional wounds resurface and fuel conflict. For instance, one partner might become overly critical, while the other feels defensive or unworthy. These patterns stem from the ego's attachment to past grievances and future expectations. From dependency to wholeness. Many relationships are built on dependency rather than true connection. People often seek partners to complete them, filling voids created by their inner disconnection. However, no external relationship can resolve internal lack. Tolle suggests that the foundation of a healthy relationship is self-awareness and self-love. When you are at peace with yourself, you approach relationships from a place of abundance rather than neediness. Instead of asking, "What can I get from this relationship?" presence allows you to ask, "How can I contribute to this relationship?" Presence in relationships. The key to transforming relationships is presence. When you remain anchored in the now, you dissolve the ego's grip on the relationship. Presence creates space for understanding, compassion, and genuine connection. For example, if an argument arises, presence helps you observe your emotions without reacting impulsively. This awareness allows you to respond with clarity and kindness, rather than perpetuating the cycle of blame and defensiveness. The importance of communication. Tolle emphasizes the role of mindful communication in enlightened relationships. Instead of speaking from a place of ego, presence encourages honest and open dialogue. Listening deeply and without judgment fosters mutual understanding and trust. For instance, when a partner shares their feelings, presence allows you to listen without immediately planning your response or defending yourself. This creates a safe space for both individuals to express themselves authentically, accepting the other as they are. A common source of conflict in relationships is the desire to change the other person. Tolle advises against trying to mold your partner into an idealized version of who you think they should be. Instead, acceptance is key. Acceptance doesn't mean tolerating harmful behavior. It means honoring your partner's individuality and allowing them the freedom to grow at their own pace. Presence enables you to love without conditions, cultivating a relationship rooted in respect and authenticity. The power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is essential for healing relationships. Holding on to resentment keeps you tied to the past and prevents growth. Through presence, you can release grievances and approach your partner with compassion. Forgiveness doesn't condone harmful behavior. It frees you from the emotional burden of holding on to pain. Tolle explains that when you forgive, you reclaim your inner peace and create space for reconciliation and renewal. Relationships as portals to spiritual growth. Tolle reframes relationships as opportunities for spiritual awakening. Every relationship, whether romantic, familial, or platonic, mirrors aspects of yourself, highlighting areas where you need healing or growth. For example, if you struggle with jealousy in a relationship, this is an invitation to examine your insecurities and develop self-trust. Presence helps you recognize these patterns without judgment, transforming relationships into catalysts for personal and spiritual development. Enlightened love. At its core, an enlightened relationship is a partnership of equals, grounded in presence and mutual respect. It's not about possession or control, but about two individuals supporting each other's growth while maintaining their independence. Tolle describes this love as free from fear, attachment, or need. It's a state of being where you love not because of what the other person provides, but because love is your natural state when you're fully present. Chapter 9. Beyond happiness and unhappiness. Peace. In this chapter, Eckhart Tolle explores the deeper meaning of peace, explaining how it surpasses fleeting emotions like happiness and unhappiness. While happiness depends on external circumstances, peace arises from within and remains unshaken by life's ups and downs, the temporary nature of happiness. Tolle begins by addressing the transient nature of happiness. It is often tied to achieving goals, acquiring possessions, or fulfilling desires. However, once the novelty fades, the mind begins seeking the next thing to attain. This creates a never-ending cycle of wanting, achieving, and dissatisfaction. For example, someone might feel elated after getting a promotion, but over time the excitement diminishes as new challenges or ambitions emerge. This dependency on external factors makes happiness unstable and conditional, the illusion of if only. Many people believe they will be happy if only certain conditions are met. If only I had more money, if only I found the perfect partner, or if only my health improved. Tolle explains that this mindset traps individuals in the future, preventing them from appreciating the present moment. True peace, on the other hand, is not contingent on external circumstances. It arises from a state of inner acceptance and alignment with the now, peace beyond opposites. Peace is not the absence of unhappiness, but the ability to remain rooted in presence regardless of circumstances. Tolle emphasizes that life is a series of opposites: joy and sorrow, success and failure, gain and loss. While the ego seeks to cling to the positive and avoid the negative, true peace embraces both. It acknowledges that all experiences, whether pleasant or painful, are temporary and part of the human journey. For example, when facing a difficult situation, peace allows you to accept it without resistance, trusting that it will pass. This doesn't mean passive resignation, but a calm acknowledgement of what is, followed by intentional action if necessary, surrendering to the now. Tolle introduces the concept of surrender as a pathway to peace. Surrender doesn't mean giving up or becoming complacent. Instead, it's the willingness to accept the present moment fully, without judgment or resistance. When you surrender to what is, you free yourself from the inner conflict created by wishing things were different. This acceptance creates space for clarity and wisdom, enabling you to respond to challenges with grace. For instance, if you lose a job, resisting the situation by dwelling on unfairness or fear only prolongs your suffering. Surrendering means accepting the reality of the situation and using the present moment to explore new possibilities, finding peace in uncertainty. Life is inherently uncertain, and the ego fears the unknown. Tolle explains that this fear stems from the ego's attachment to control and predictability. However, peace arises when you let go of the need to know what will happen next. Instead of fearing the future, presence allows you to trust the unfolding of life. This doesn't mean abandoning responsibility, but embracing the reality that not everything is within your control. The timeless state of being. At the core of peace is the recognition that your true essence is beyond the temporary conditions of your life. Tolle describes this essence as the timeless state of being, the unchanging presence beneath your thoughts, emotions, and experiences. Connecting with this state requires mindfulness and detachment from the ego. Meditation, stillness, and deep awareness of the present moment are practices that help you access this inner peace. Beyond happiness and unhappiness. Tolle concludes by explaining that peace is not a peak emotional state, but a deep, unshakable stillness. It's the freedom to experience life fully without being enslaved by the mind's narratives or the ego's desires. Through presence, you can transcend the fleeting highs of happiness and the lows of unhappiness. You discover a state of being where peace becomes your natural response to life's inevitable challenges. Chapter 10. The Goldilocks. Rule: how to stay motivated in life and work. In this chapter, I explore the concept of motivation and how it is intricately tied to the difficulty level of tasks we undertake. The key to maintaining motivation is ensuring that the tasks are neither too easy nor too difficult, but are instead at an optimal level of challenge. This sweet spot is referred to as the Goldilocks rule, named after the famous fairy tale where Goldilocks finds something that is just right. The Goldilocks rule suggests that people are most motivated when they are working on tasks that are at the peak of their abilities. Not too hard, not too easy, but just right. We as humans tend to engage in tasks that are interesting and provide a challenge. If a task is too easy, we become bored and lose interest, whereas tasks that are too difficult often lead to frustration and a sense of helplessness. Motivation thrives in this middle ground, where the challenge is just enough to keep us engaged, pushing us to improve, but not so overwhelming that it leads to burnout. AKA, this concept of optimal difficulty is grounded in the idea of progress. The more progress we see in our efforts, the more motivated we feel. The Goldilocks rule ensures that the tasks we take on are appropriately challenging, allowing us to make progress in meaningful ways without feeling defeated. However, to maintain progress, we must constantly seek new challenges that keep us at the edge of our capabilities. One critical element in applying the Goldilocks rule is the idea of continuous growth. As we master a certain skill, we must deliberately move to a slightly higher level of difficulty to keep pushing ourselves. For instance, in a sport, as you improve your skills, the training becomes progressively harder to match your growing abilities. This ensures that you continue to experience progress and growth, which is a vital motivator in achieving long-term success. Another important factor that keeps us engaged is the concept of immediate feedback. People thrive on the feedback loop. When we receive positive reinforcement or constructive feedback on our progress, we are more likely to stay motivated. This immediate feedback allows us to make adjustments and see the results of our efforts, fueling further motivation to keep going. The Goldilocks rule also emphasizes the importance of setting specific and measurable goals. These goals help to provide clear milestones that can be achieved, which adds to the sense of progress and accomplishment. When goals are clear, it is easier to maintain motivation because we can track our progress and see tangible results. These results, no matter how small, keep us on the path toward larger success. One of the challenges people face with long-term goals is the temptation to give up when the path seems too difficult. This is where the Goldilocks rule comes in. It encourages us to find that sweet spot of challenge and progress, which helps to reduce frustration and sustain motivation over the long haul. The key takeaway here is that motivation is not about just setting a goal and hoping it happens. It's about consistently choosing the right level of challenge to keep us engaged. Once we find that sweet spot, we become more likely to stay motivated, improve continuously, and achieve our desired outcomes. In summary, the Goldilocks rule teaches us that motivation is driven by finding tasks that are challenging but not overwhelming. This optimal difficulty helps us stay engaged and motivated while progressing toward our goals. It is essential to consistently seek out tasks that are just the right level of difficulty to keep making progress. Motivation thrives in this zone where our abilities are stretched, but not stretched beyond the breaking point. By applying the Goldilocks rule in our daily lives, we can maintain the drive and enthusiasm necessary to continue working toward our goals, ensuring that we stay motivated over the long term. Whether it's in work, personal development, or any other area of life, the Goldilocks rule helps us create a sustainable path toward success.